But before we do that, let's again kind of take over where Sandy left it off again. This is our understanding as Daimler Mercedes-Benz of the different means of transportation. So you have the combustion engine. The internal combustion engine has served us well over 100 years. And the internal combustion engine is fantastically good in a long distance and in a suburban drive environment. It's not so good in the urban environment because you have a lot of stop and goes, and stop and goes take up a lot of energy. That's where the hybrid comes in. That's why we love our hybrids, because the hybrids actually recoup the energy that you otherwise would waste if you brake. But again, you trade that in, because a hybrid means you have two drivetrains. So that makes that vehicle a little bit heavier, and therefore it's not so great on long distance. And if you look at the fuel efficiencies of the hybrids, you see it right there. So plug-in pushes that out a little bit, more to the urban side. Means you can drive on electricity a certain distance. That's great again in urban environments where you don't have to go that far. If you continue that, you have to switch over to all-electric drivetrain. Then you get rid of the internal combustion engine, you save a ton of weight, make that car lighter, and again, you have a new electric drivetrain here. And then you have the two options. How do you get the electricity in this car? You can do it either by battery, or you can do it by fuel cells. Well, we believe at Daimler that both have their right here. The batteries, as Sandy explained, is basically something that doesn't contain too much energy, given the weight it takes to carry them around. Meaning they're very, very good for short distances, urban environments, and generally a drive cycle that isn't too long, so that you have a chance to recharge all the time. So that's where fuel cell comes in. We absolutely strongly believe at Daimler and Mercedes-Benz that only fuel cell technology provides that mobility that our customers expect. It's the full mobility, the long distance, the suburban, and the urban drive cycle. And we've tested that for a very long time. We have had and are operating buses, light trucks, and passenger vehicles now for many, many years in different parts of the world, in China, in Singapore, in Australia, in different countries in Europe, and in the United States. Our vehicles have logged hundreds of thousands of miles. We had hundreds of thousands of passengers in these buses, and they function very, very marvelously. We didn't have any major issues, and the customers don't realize that they're sitting in an electric bus. It's just there, it drives and perfect. From that perspective, we have created our own roadmap for the vehicles. And actually, I have the honor to introduce our first series production fuel cell vehicle in this country here, middle of the year. And it's our B-class based model. It's, I actually had some brochures out there, but they went quickly away. I'm sorry. So if you need more, I'm sure we can get you more. And we're going to have roughly about 200 units here. It's small series productions. Basically, we've showcased now that you can build these things in a series production. It's not a workshop project anymore. It's right here, it's right now, it exists. So then in 2013, we're going to roll out the next generation in much larger quantities with an emphasis on cost reduction. The reason why these vehicles are still cost a lot is basically just supply chain. There's basically one supplier per part for this car out there. So that doesn't mean you really you have no competition there, and that basically keeps the cost up. So we're going to work on that with the other car manufacturers. And then I actually switched this picture there this morning here. The new generation is called the F800 project. We just unveiled that at the Geneva Auto Show. It's a very beautiful fuel cell car that's actually very, very cool, and it's fun to drive, and we hope to have this ready for 2015. But what it shows you, this is technology that is right here and exists, and you can put it in the nicest cars of the world. You don't have to kind of build your car around the fuel cell. That's really not at all necessary anymore. So, but let's look at the infrastructure side. Let's take the real-life example, what we're doing in Germany right now. And we had a major breakthrough in September 2009. What we have been able to achieve is we have been able to come together as car companies, as infrastructure provider, as fueling station providers, as hydrogen companies, and the government as a coordination function. Because the point is, it doesn't make sense to have infrastructure where there's no car. And it doesn't make sense to have cars where there's no hydrogen filling infrastructure. So that has always been that issue that we have been faced. And I think we now have found a way how we overcome that. We've created basically two consortia. They're both coordinated by the German government. And the first consortia is actually where we pull together the car companies. And these car companies here have come together with a goal to have, from 2015 onwards, about 100,000 units in the market. That's a big number, but that's a necessary number in order to have enough cars so that for the people that actually need to earn money with hydrogen, there's enough customers out there, right? And we are also going to focus on rolling these out, not just like with the soul shaker approach, but rather focus on, we call it the model regions. Basically take a main city, a major metropolitan area, and focus your efforts there. Start there, amass vehicles, and bring hydrogen infrastructure in these places, and then grow organically from there.